welcome to today's episode of Talk and Roll with Hawk and the Captain. Today we have from Utah the metal band that's a three-piece, father and two sons, but we only have one right now, and it is Three Bravo. Tell us about yourself, sir.
Well, I'm the bass guitarist, so you guys got me today. Like you said, we're a father-son trio. My dad, my little brother, we got together and we've been jamming for like 20 years, covering some Black Sabbath, covering, War Pigs is probably the first one we all learned together. We just decided last year, back in June, that it was time to get some of those riff ideas that we'd come up with and some of the, little recordings from when we were teenagers and actually put them to work and make some songs and do some of our own original music. And so we started doing that back last summer and released our first album back in May 5th of 2023. And just been trying to rock as best we can.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, that's pretty cool having a father-son dynamic that you guys have. My kids I got from 30-year-old down to a 13-year-old. So my now 23-year-old, I just bought him technically his second guitar. I bought him a guitar for Christmas, and I was just like, here. You're the one that picked everything out. This is your Christmas present. So, and then my youngest, who's 13, now wants a drum kit. And I'm like, so now I got to find an electronic drum kit, because if not, he'll be banging on that thing. So I've got to turn it off. But so how did you guys decide as fathers and sons to get together that I could see that both being positive and negative. Because I don't always get along with my dad, so I could kind of see that being issues from time to time.
It's just something that's been always kind of natural for us. And the interesting thing is when you look at our kind of origin story, so to speak. So when my dad was 13, he actually went to his very first concert, which was Kiss. Back in the 70s, his older sister took him and everything, and he looked up, he saw Ace Frehley, and he's like, I want to do that. Fast forward to the year 2000, and he ended up taking me and Josh to our first concert, which was also Kiss. We see, the flashing lights, the fireballs, fireworks, all that kind of blood dripping from Gene Simmons' mouth, all that kind of stuff. And we're like, man, we want to do that kind of stuff too. And so me and Josh, we kind of did our own things, different bands in high school and, all that kind of jazz. And we actually played in a band together for a few years, kind of a more metalcore band that they were called Behold the Requiem. And we jammed that out. Never ended up recording anything all together with me and him. The other two guys, our vocalist and our guitarist, were kind of party animals, wanted to be rock stars before making it. And so it was kind of hard to take things a little bit more seriously with those guys. But musically, we've just all kind of had that inclination. My dad's been playing guitar since he was 13. Josh has been playing drums since he was 9. He's been doing vocals for the last probably 4 or 5 years. And then with me, I've been doing the bass guitar since I was about 13 years old as well. So, and when we'd get together for family reunions and things, we'd always start off, like I said, we'd jam out that Black Sabbath War Pigs, and then we'd just kind of free jam a little bit, or maybe we come up with another song that we want to learn. And then the next time we meet, we'll play that one. And it just continued on. So we've had a pretty good dynamic in our family, and we've always been really close. And thankfully, with this, we've actually managed to get a lot closer too. We've actually even traveled out of state to go and see some other bands together. We most recent would have been February, I believe, last year. We went and watched Dream Theater, which was a bucket list band for all three of us.
Now you got to go again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Now that Mike's back.
Yeah, because Mike's back.
Yeah.
Oh, most definitely. But yeah, we've just had a really killer dynamic. And it's almost like we're mind readers with each other because we've been playing together so long. If my dad's starting off on a riff, it's like, oh, I know where he's going to go with this once he hits that lead. So I already kind of know what I'm going to do with the bass. I've been playing so long with Josh, with him on drums that, we connect with the rhythm section and everything, and we can just flow. Most of our recording sessions are actually done in one or two takes, just because we've got that nice flow going and we've been together for so long.
Do you guys
and
do
it
like
just
live in
was a
studio
matter of sitting
recording?
down and doing it. Kind of, and no, if that makes sense.
I feel you.
So like, usually what'll happen is my dad will come up with some scratch tracks for us. Just some basic, level foundation, drum beat, basic foundation level bass guitar. And then when it give us a couple weeks, and then when we meet up, we just sit down and we just knock out one piece at a time, just go for it. And usually it's done in one or two takes.
Nice.
We've got that connection, like I said, almost like mind reading. And, on top of that, we've got the experience. I mean, Josh, he's been playing, forever and a day, minus the vocals. I didn't even know he could sing until last year. Like I knew he could do like gutturals and stuff, like death metal vocals and stuff, but actually pulling some of that higher end clean vocals, I didn't know until I heard the song. Oh, what was it? It was oh, what I'm trying to remember which scratch track it was, but my brother had laid down some vocals on that. And at first I thought it was my dad's old singer from one of his bands. And they're like, nope, that's Josh. And I was like, you got to be kidding me, man. Where's this guy been? Like the last forever.
Yeah,
So,
no kidding. Dude, there's something about family bands. I'm a big Pantera fan, so like I'll go on all day about how like Dime and Vin were one thing.
oh, yeah.
Dimebag Darrell and Vinnie Paul were like one thing together.
It was actually, it was funny. We actually just recorded a music video. We're getting all the footage and stuff put together and everything. But when me and my dad are playing, um, I didn't even notice that we were doing this until I was reviewing some of the footage. And we're actually doing some of the same movements and everything,
Mhm.
like to accentuate some of the, slides or wheedly woos or whatever on guitar. We're sitting there and leaning in together. We're getting some of the same headbanging going, but we didn't coordinate any of that. It was
Dude,
literally we just got together, showed up, and started rocking out.
that shit is so cool. I had a drummer in high school. I was really, really connected with musically. And we did not like the same kind of music. Like he was more into like alternative rock and a little more like mainstream poppy kind of stuff. And I was all about like Metallica and the Misfits but we played really well together. Yeah, the good stuff. But we played really well together. And there were times we'd do shit like that where I don't know, I would play some lick, like some improvised lick, but like he would also play some roll and we like hit the same beats with the lick and the roll at the same time. We've never rehearsed that. It was crazy.
It's always nice when
It's a
that kind of
cool
stuff
feeling when
happens.
you notice that shit. Yeah, yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, I got a dynamic with my kid, my son Joe, and if we could form a band, I think we'd be perfect. We'd be great. But I'm the old man, and he's like, Dad, I'm good. No, he's doing his own thing, and I'm over here doing my own thing. But
What's the age gap like for you and your dad? Like how old's your dad? Like
My dad's actually going to be turning 60 here in December. And I am 39, so right around 21 years.
That's not bad. That's
a
fairly normal for the time.
Oh yeah,
age to have a
definitely.
kid. That's pretty cool.
What's the age difference between you and your younger brother?
We're about 7 years apart. So he's early 30s. I'm almost 40.
That's pretty significant too.
Yeah. Heck yeah.
That would put you guys in like fairly liquid like musical tastes as far as like high school goes.
We all listen to a lot of the classics. I mean, Ozzy, Black Sabbath, obviously, you got to go with those. Judas Priest, we're all heavily influenced by Queensryche. Um, Another one that we've been really into has been Iced Earth. We all went and saw Iced Earth
Dude,
in concert together.
my
Just all kinds
stepdad
of
used
stuff
to
like that.
know those guys. They did this awesome covers album. It's the only thing I really know about them was the covers album they did. But every cover on that album was fucking awesome. Those guys are from like Tampa, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I think some of them are from Florida. I'm pretty sure too.
Mm.
Yeah. Well, the nice part about it is I went through and was listening to some of your music today, and I definitely hear that Black Sabbath feel in your music, and you got that kind of sludgy, doomy kind of background. Yeah, that works
Hmm.
great for your and the vocals. You got it, man.
Like I said, I didn't even know he sung like clean vocals. He has like a solo death metal project that he does, Vita Levour, and so like I always knew that he kind of did like the gutturals, the growls, all that kind of stuff, and he's really great at those. So when my dad approached us at first, I was like, "Crap, I'm gonna have to sing, aren't I?" Because I can somewhat carry a tune in a bucket as long as it's got a lid on it. But
Yeah.
I was kind of worried that I was going to have to do the fronting and everything. And then when I heard Josh, it was just like, dude, like you can't be shy about this stuff, man.
Yeah. You got that Grand Funk Railroad thing going on. That's awesome.
Get that. Gotta let us know. We got to be updated on your the. So you told me you went to your first concert with Kiss. What are your personal musical influences to where you got the band?
I'm pretty influenced by Ian Hill from Judas Priest. You've got Eddie Jackson, Queensryche. You can actually hear a little bit of that. I actually have been told several times that the tone on my bass matches his a lot. And then I mean, I'd love to be able to play like Flea. Love the guy, but still a little bit too advanced for me right now. Geddy Lee, huge influence, especially when it comes to me utilizing hammers, because that's the only way that I can really go fast. Have nerve damage in some of my hands from when I was in the military, so just kind of makes it so I have to improvise a little bit more instead of single noting. I have to use a lot of hammering and stuff like that. And so watching Geddy Lee play was how I was able to pick up my speed to be able to match the disability.
So, personal note, I gotta ask you. I was a bass player. I have nerve damage in my left hand. I can't feel these two fingers.
Mm.
It's where's your nerve damage at?
Mostly in my right side. So your strumming hand. So I've had to relearn how to do a lot of stuff. Like I used to be able back in the day to do a little bit more Steve Harris, type stuff, Iron Maiden.
Yeah.
With like that 3-finger gallop that he does. Not quite as fast paced to do that because my hand will get locked up a little bit every once in a while. So I can't do it in the frequency that he does. I can only do it in short little bursts now. And then I do have some minor with the left hand as well. And so when I'm doing some of the scale runs and things like that, I can get a little bit tripped up as well.
Yeah.
My brain knows what it wants to do, but my fingers just won't fing.
Oh, I completely understand that. Holy crap, man.
I've been blessed that I just naturally suck, but it's it's because my brain can't keep up either. So it's all in sync. But dude, I've seen guys with no arms fucking shred guitars. So
yeah,
I mean, yeah,
that's why I decided there was no excuse. I was gonna do it.
Like they'll get like the fucking prosthetic with a pick on the end of it and just fucking shred, dude. It's impressive stuff.
I just saw a dude at a concert last month with Aerodactyly who's playing bass. So all he had was the claw. So he had no thumb. He just had the what the lobster man, that
Yeah.
was all he had with his right hand, the strumming hand, and he just put a pick in there and was going to town. I'm like, that's fucking awesome.
Yeah, it leaves you with no excuse at that
Yeah.
point. It's just like, okay, I got to step up my A game. Nerve damage, what's that?
Yeah. Work around it. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Awesome.
So you went from being now. Do you still have like you said your brother has a solo band? Do you have a solo band, or is Three Bravo your only?
Three Bravo's the only thing that I'm doing right now. But I have been writing some songs that are a little bit more into your like blues rock, kind of vocally in that style, as well as kind of what I want to do with guitars and stuff like that. So I'm probably going to be doing some solo work as well. I haven't like named it or anything, but I've got, geez, probably 20 pages worth of lyrics right now, just sitting there, not doing anything, collecting dust. So, and I've got riff ideas in my head. I can play a little bit of guitar. And I actually had promised my kid that I would learn guitar on his behalf. So got to hold up to that promise and actually do that one as well.
You got to do it for the kids, man.
So people don't understand that the bass guitar and the guitar are two different instruments with similar foundations. It's really is like I've played both as what they are, and it's like it's not the same thing.
Nope.
What's crazy is I played bass guitar for the high school band, like, and then I remember at the end of that year, my hammer-ons for like when I went back to like just playing guitar, like my hammer-ons were nuts. Like your finger strength gets crazy. Like you can fucking smash through the guitar with your ring finger. It's awesome. Yeah.
Oh, and it was actually funny. We were just recording one of our songs just this past Saturday, and there's a song that my dad had written. It's called Honest Man, and there's a lot of hammering on the bass through this song. And when my dad did the basic, kind of scratch track, his stuff isn't as prominent as mine. And he's like, how is it that you actually have more prominent hammers than me? I've been playing longer than you. And it's like, Dad, I play bass guitar. My strings are like 10 times as thick as yours.
Fuck yeah, dude. Yeah, it's a motherfucker. It's like playing. It's like I've worked with like I'm an electrician. I've worked with like heavy duty wire that are fucking that's smaller gauge than some of these bass strings, bro. That's fucking crazy. Yeah, those things are you could tie out a cruise ship with some of these things.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So now do you guys play, do you tour, do you go out and get out and about playing?
Touring right now isn't an option for us. Not that we wouldn't want to. The problem is that Josh obviously has to work his 9 to 5. And my dad, he's, not quite to retirement yet. Still got to pay bills. I'm the only one that's retired. So I have all the time in the world to be able to, but just not in the cards at the moment. The other problem is that as good as Josh is on both drums and vocals, combining the two of them at the same time is a little problematic, especially when he's hitting some of those higher, Rob Halford, type wails on those higher ends, trying to do a double bass drum and hitting those, he's just not able to do it. So we've got a couple of options we could do. I mean, we've been looking for a drummer, for the last about year and a half so that we can play live, because all of us love playing live music. There's no other feeling that compares. The other option is, running our, Josh's tracks through a PA, and then us doing the stuff, where Josh is able to still sing. And it's still his drumming, just not without the kit.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, if you already have the recordings, I mean, it's not that you're playing on somebody else's track. You're playing your own track. You're just,
Oh, dude, I mean, you see some of these kids now, like playing live, they'll fucking all of their stuff is like backing tracks. They'll play big rooms, just one kid and a guitar on stage doing it. So Yeah, it's a lot. I mean, the technology existed when I was younger, but there's a lot more expensive to get shit like that set up. So
Yeah, it's a lot easier to do these days for sure. We're a little bit more on the purist end where we really would rather have the live drummer, because nothing compares to a live drum. That's just a plain and simple fact. So obviously we'd prefer to go that route. But if worse comes to where, I mean, we're already working on our second album, and we'd like to play some live shows.
Yeah, because I normally ask what the where your club, with your club life is and stuff like that, because a lot of bands go out and they hit the local clubs or the bars and stuff like that. But so that defeats that question because I can't ask that question.
yeah, tour stories.
Yeah. So, but I gotta ask. So, if you bring in a fourth guy, are you going to be 4 Bravo or you stay in 3 Bravo?
We'll probably still stay 3 Bravo. I mean, the name for one kind of has an interesting story in and of itself. So we'd want to stick with that, obviously. And I mean, it was founded by the 3 Bowdens. So, phonetic alphabet, B, Bravo. So it's kind of how that came about. But beyond that, it was kind of a little coincidental thing. So when my dad first approached us, he created this text group with me, Josh, and him, and it was titled 3B. And I wanted to start setting up some social media pages because we were going to start getting in the studio. So let's build up some hype, get the word out and let people know some music is coming, but didn't have a name. And so I just kind of floated the idea as 3B, like something you guys are set on because, interestingly enough, B in the phonetic alphabet when you're in the military is Bravo. And they're like, oh, that sounds kind of sick. And I'm like, well, it gets better than that, guys. Because the squad that I served with when I was in Iraq was codenamed 3 Bravo. And so it was like one of those universe throwing signs out kind of things, where it just like fit. It sounded kind of cool. And, it gets to pay some homage to some really great Marines that I served with. And, it's 3 Bowdens, 3 Bravo. So
Sweet. Now, are you do you take like your military and put it into your music, like experiences or anything like that?
oh yeah, definitely. So on the last album that we just released, Upheaval, the song Filth, I actually wrote when I was in Iraq, at least the first part of it. Finished it when I came home. And that one is centered kind of around kind of like the internal struggle, I guess, that, you have when you come home from war and stuff like that. And it was one of the ways that I actually helped, cope with some of my PTSD, was just, getting the feelings that I had in here and putting them down on paper. Then we actually have another song that's actually called 3 Bravo, and that is a direct storytelling, I guess you would call it, of an event that happened when I was in Iraq, where we were trying to help out another squad that was in an ambush and ended up getting ambushed ourselves. And it kind of goes through that whole, story of that day and everything. And so, and I mean, the way that Josh freaking got the emotions through on the vocals on that, man, it actually had me tearing up a little bit when I first heard it, just because what he was singing, I had actually felt. So it was just kind of nuts that way.
So you
That's awesome.
find playing and writing music about your time in the military, is it therapeutic for you? Does it work for you with the PTSD and whatnot? Because my son,
Oh, absolutely.
yeah, he served. He was in the Navy though, but he has some PTSD, and they get him to write stuff down a lot to help with it, and it's helped him out quite a bit. So I could imagine it would to be that much more, because his is just shit he writes in a journal, and you're really getting it out there. You're like, what do you want to call it? Primal screaming it out there, even through your music. So,
Yep.
Yeah, there's underneath everything behind me, there's a flag, like an American flag. It's hard to see if you're not looking for it. But yeah, that flag is up there for like combat veterans. I'm not a big, fan of the government, but
Me either.
the least I can do is put a flag up for guys like that. So,
Oh yeah, it's
fucking metal.
But yeah, we even with some stuff that's not directly relevant per se to like my stories. Our song 2000 Suns, my dad has been sitting on that song since like the 1980s, back when he was, gigging and touring and everything like that. And just couldn't find guys that would accept that song. He was a little bit ahead of his time. It was a little bit more progressive metal. So people weren't quite ready for that at that time, at least the guys he was jamming with. And so we ended up finishing it up, and he only had a single verse. I ended up writing the rest of it for him, and it wasn't so much that I drew from modern combat, but like some of the lines in there, it talks kind of about the driving to serve, the motivations to serve and things like that in that song. And so I was able to kind of relate that because I was a guy that enlisted shortly after 9/11.
Mhm.
And so I fully understand, that drive of, we've got to protect our country, our people, all that kind of stuff. And so I was able to take that and put it down on paper. I'd say that probably every single song, except for maybe probably Look at the Flowers, has some kind of direct life experience for us. Whether it was my dad writing it, whether my brother got some lines in, whether it was me writing the lyrics, all of it really ties into things that we've actually experienced.
wow, that's deep because it's. I think the best songs come from personal thing because you get these bands that have all their shit's written for them. It doesn't have the same feel and the same passion behind it that
Mm-hmm.
when you're telling your story or a story that you've been connected to. I think that pushes you, like, you could be here, but when you get that personal experience, it puts you over the top with it. So
Oh, I
Like,
definitely agree.
yeah.
I'm a writer in some capacity, and I enjoy writing, and I understand like the kind of cathartic release of writing. But when it comes to music, as a personal preference, both writing and listening to music, lyrics are kind of like the last thing that happen. The vocal melody tends to come first, and even if I do kind of know what I think I want the song to be about, I find it impressive when someone's able to take that feeling and regard, like, kind of outside of just the lyrical content, they do make you feel it with whatever melody or the emotion in the way the vocalist delivers the lines, as opposed, or just the instruments to back it up. Like, there's I don't know if everybody feels that when they hear it, but I know that, like, when I can pick up on that, I always find that extra impressive. I love that shit.
Yeah. Me and my wife had that discussion about 9 Inch Nails. Hurt. Yes, Hurt's a good song. It's fine when it's done by the guy who wrote it, but when they gave it to Johnny Cash, that became a completely different song, and it hit you on so many more emotional levels
Yep.
than the original did, and that made it. I mean, that song, yes, Trent Reznor wrote it, but that is a Johnny Cash song now. I don't care what anybody says.
Well, that's what they said.
Oh,
That's what they say.
but so I gotta ask, but what's the music scene like in Utah? Do you get to go see many, like, get to go out to clubs or bars near?
Oh yeah. Well, where I am, not so much. I kind of live in Podunk, nowhere town, middle of nowhere. I decided to go out rural and just escape from everything, the city and everything like that. But I mean, Salt Lake. I mean, packed houses for every metal band that I've gone to see. I'm wearing my Ginger shirt right now. Went and saw them back in June. Packed house. As a matter of fact, just about a week ago, I went and saw Dragon Force with Amaranth, Nanowar Steel, and Edge of Paradise. And the line seriously to get into the venue was wrapped like 4 blocks around, like an hour before they were even at doors.
It feels like
So it was
everybody
pretty
plays
nuts
St.
with that
Louis.
show.
Fucking Salt Lake. Why did I say St. Louis?
It's got a really great scene. When I was playing live back in the day, with Behold the Requiem with my little brother, before, obviously where we're at now. I mean, I was playing 2,000 person crowds, and we were nobody town, we were just a regular old local band, doing the metalcore thing. And I mean, we were packing the house, with some of the smaller venues that were only like 400 or 500 people. We didn't just have people in there, piled on top of each other. We had people that were outside, on the sidewalk, and they just popped the doors open so you could still hear the music. I mean, it's always been like that. And then, after I left the band, had to do the adult responsibility thing, take care of kids and all that, had a baby on the way type stuff. It ended up being where he ended up going to another band called Flux. And it was the same thing with those guys. They were kind of a little bit more Pantera edge. It was like Pantera meets some Dream Theater with some of their stuff. Because like they had that southern rock, southern metal edge, that groove metal, but they also had a lot of progressive elements in it too. So it was like really sick. But I mean, they were packing the house every freaking time too.
Now, do you think that the fact that out there at Salt Lake has such a good metal scene, is that what one of the things driving you too with your band?
We've always been metalheads. I mean, I grew up listening to, Metallica. My dad ended up falling in love with them the minute he saw them open up for Ozzy, for Black Sabbath, rather. But I grew up on the Four Horsemen, Anthrax, Slayer, Metallica. It was just one of those things, man. Megadeth, that was the other one. I almost forgot Megadeth. Can't forget Megadeth. They're one of the best. I grew up on Pantera, and my dad still had some of that more classic rock, edge to him too. So your Guns N' Roses, your Motley Crue, all that kind of stuff. Some Rush. But I mean, and I mean, frankly, I actually got to see my dad perform in some of the bars. So I literally grew up in kind of that hard rock scene. When I was knee high to a grasshopper, my mom would bring me, and back then they didn't care if you brought your baby in with you as long as you were being safe and whatnot. So,
That's
I
kind of
grew
what
up
I'm
in this
wondering.
stuff.
Yeah, because you were telling me
Well,
about
having that. No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was saying you talk about your dad playing and stuff like that. I wondered if you were, able to go to the clubs to go be with your, 'cause some clubs are cool.
A
Well,
couple
I think
times.
locally there are some clubs are
Now
cool.
they're weird.
Yeah, now they're weird. So
Yeah,
But
you
having
definitely don't
that,
get those
having
experiences
that,
anymore.
just having that scene and knowing that the audience is there and that you could likely, um, get in front of a big crowd should you put everything together. I think that's a good motivator. And then like just the
Oh
family
yeah,
aspect of it's pretty dope. That's a
and
good formula.
on top of the good scene that we've got here, I mean, we get some pretty good bands that are coming through. And a lot of times they're looking for some of the local talent to open up a show too. And we've been networking. We're doing everything that you're supposed to do. I guess I should say more so I am doing all those things because I have the most time. But, you know, and I'm usually staying after. I go to a ton of shows. That's like my thing. I love going to shows. I love being in that crowd. I prefer to play in front of the crowd, but I also love being in the crowd. And take my kids to go and experience when it's an all age venue, let them experience some of that, world as well. But I'll hang around. I'm trying to track down managers. I'm trying to meet band members, and stuff like that. And especially when they're kind of mid tier or even, opening act type stuff, a lot of times you can actually sit down and talk to those cats and, get to know them a bit and float the idea, hey, next time you're in here, keep us in mind, 3 Bravo, don't forget it.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been doing the in-person networking, been doing the online networking, just trying to work it, because once we're ready to go, we want to go.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. You were talking about you're putting your new band, your new album together. Are you going to do singles before the album comes out, or are you going to just hold off until the album drops?
We've actually put out a couple of singles that are going to be off of this next one. It's titled Divine Wreckage. We don't quite have a set date on when it's going to be released. We know it'll be early 24, but just haven't quite just narrowed down. But we've released a couple of singles off of that already. And we actually have another one that's going to be released on December 9th. That one's, yep.
That's what we've been telling all these bands we talked to.
Oh yeah, definitely. So this one song that we're releasing here on December 9th, it's got a little bit of a story behind it as well. So we opted to do a cover song. We wanted to do a cover on this album, and we got our licensing, all that kind of stuff, so that it's all legit. But we held a contest, or I guess a vote or whatever with, our followers, like pick our next cover. And we were going to kind of metal it up a little bit, and everything like that, give the 3 Bravo edge to whatever we covered. And my dad ended up picking to put forward, I think it was The Shape of Things to Come, Gary Moore. Another one was Bastille Day, Rush. And then we put up We All Die Young, Steel Heart, which was adapted for the Rockstar movie.
Yeah.
And evidently there was a lot of ladies that wanted to hear We All Die Young or something, because that one ended up winning. Now, the interesting part about it, though, so my son had actually passed away a few months ago. And we got the results of that poll about 5 days after he passed, and it ended up being We All Die Young. My son was only 14, so it's got kind of that crossover kind of thing, another one of those the universe speaks kind of deals. And rather than kind of running away, and because of how close it hits to home, because we're family, so this is Dennis's grandson, it's Josh's nephew, it's my kid. We decided that we'd move forward and do it as a tribute to him. And we finally ended up wrapping up the recording, got the mixing and mastering done and everything, and we got it back. And it's like, okay, so now it looks like this is going to be the one that we end up releasing as a single. So I start looking on the release dates. Now, typically in the industry, people release on a Friday. Well, the Friday happened to be December 8th, when it came to about 4 weeks or so after, we figured out that this was going to be the next one. And his birthday, Connor, is actually December 9th. So it's like, screw the industry. We're going to just push it one more day, and we'll actually release the song that we were going to tribute to him on his birthday. So
awesome,
man. That's hard and deep, man. That's as a father with kids, I can't wrap my head around that, man. And to be able to do something that, I hate to say, that cool for your kid, it's amazing. And dude, I got nothing but respect for you on that one. Because I don't know if I could do that. I mean, if anything happened to my kids, I'd just probably shut down. I'm not gonna lie. So I got nothing but respect for you on that one, dude. It's
the family
it definitely hasn't been easy.
Bang.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, we put everything in on this one, everything we got. And when we heard it back, when I first heard it back with the initial mix, I started bawling my eyes out. I'm this big old biker looking dude, weigh almost 300 pounds, freaking, former serving Marine. And I just got the tears starting to go, because it just hit back with all of that emotion, and I mean, it's just mixed at a level that is just amazing. Like, even the mixing on it, they brought that out as that the A game was brought. And, everybody kind of knows the backstory on that song. And so, like, everybody was like, yeah, we got to do our best to honor this kid, And so it really shows. and it's going to be a good one. We're excited for it and everything. But mostly because I know that, Connor's going to be watching, and he was a big fan of us. We actually, when we were going through his stuff and everything, we found 3 Bravo on his playlists and everything on like Spotify and everything. So, he'd been jamming out to us. He loved sitting in on some of the recording sessions. And in one of our songs, he even provided some, background voice for this jury scene thing that we had on 1692, where we were writing a song about the Salem witch trials. So he was actually one of the voices. And when we got the mix for that, we actually requested that his voice be brought up so it's a little bit more prominent. So, because we actually think it might be the last voice recording of his before he passed. And so he actually gets to live on in one of our songs forever too.
Wow, man, that is hard, but it's also cool. I mean, that you got that. I mean, unknowingly got that, and that you can hold on to that forever. I mean, I'm weird. I have because of my dad, I've kept I like every message my kids have sent me, and just in case. So, and
it's crazy. The last text that I got from Connor was actually, and just to show you how good of a kid this is. Like, yeah, he might have been a rock or metalhead like his dad and everything, but 14-year-old, I asked, hey, can you, take the dogs out while I'm feeding the chickens, and he texts me back at like noon or something like that. And he's like, I'm so sorry. I overslept. Did the dogs get out okay? Or something like that. And it's like, what teenager apologizes for sleeping in? Like, heaven knows I surely didn't.
I do now. I'm like, I'm sorry, overslept. Sorry, overslept.
What's cool about what it's cool? It's probably like a bit of a curse also of the way technology works now, and the kind of curse of social media knowing everything about your life is there. I've found things I forgot existed of, from or regarding or starring, people close to me that I don't have anymore, and it'll just like appear out of nowhere. It's kind of wild. It's like it's depending on what kind of day you're having,
Yeah,
it could be a really good thing or a really bad thing.
But oh man, dude, your guys are out there. Your music's good. Now you're putting stuff together, and you're doing stuff for your kids, and you're doing stuff because you talked about the learning to play guitar for your son, and then you've got your son. You did a song essentially for him, and then you have that, and that's amazing that you can do that. I can't play anymore, and I basically just hand off instruments to my kids for that reason. Because you never know. I hate to say that. Um, I shouldn't be here this day. I did not take care of myself in any way, shape, or form until I got older. Um, and now I have my kids that are the most important thing in my life are my buddies. And
oh yeah,
you talk about you're not much older than my oldest son, he's 32. He served in the Navy, and when he was gone, every time he'd leave, every time he'd call, I would sit there, and I'm tough guy, hard ass, and I would always have to I'd hide it away from my wife because my wife would cry, and so I'd cry when they weren't around so that I could be strong for them and deal with that. And I worried about him every day, and the one time I kind of lost it was the last time he went away before he got finished up his tour and everything. But that last day, man, I'm sitting there and I'm like, I got him, got to the plane, got to the airport, and I'm being strong, and then he went to get on the plane. I'm like, I love you, buddy. As soon as I said I love you, buddy, and I still to this day don't care how old my kids are, I grab them in a headlock, kiss them on the top of the head, and I start crying. And my wife's like, "Are you all right?" I said, "No." I was like, I'm tired of being a tough, hard ass, man. I can't do this now. I gotta go. And as I'm sitting
My
there
dad
doing
was
that,
much the same way.
yeah. And I can't. Just talking to you about this gets me. My kids are strong. They're healthy. They're live across town. I got my youngest still here, and I couldn't imagine it. And even thinking about it, almost kind of like brings a tear to my eye. And dude, I have, like I said, nothing but respect for you to be able to turn that into, take it not negative, turn it into a positive, and doing something really cool with it. So, you know, that's amazing, dude. So I don't know what else to say on that one, but you know, it's
Well, it's well. I mean, it's like I did with the Iraq stuff. Music is literally one of the only things that gets me through a lot of the bullshit that's in life. That's just how it is. It's a way for me to release a lot of the pent up stuff. You know, because there's no way you get over any of this kind of stuff. You just don't. I mean, I've lost 23 of my buddies when I was overseas. And these are guys that I actually worked with every day. These were dudes that, in some cases I actually had to pick up off the field, that there's no way to just get over that kind of stuff. And so you have to find a way to get through it. And, in a way I was kind of lucky when it came to Connor because, I mean, yeah, it was a tragedy. There's no words that can explain the feeling that you have. But because I had already had, the good coping skills, I already had gone through the VA, gotten all that kind of stuff, already been medicated, all that kind of jazz for the PTSD. I was actually able to kind of hold it together a little bit better than a lot of the other family. It's a pain in the butt, obviously, but I was able to, for the most part, keep it together, at least until I was in some of those quieter moments where I could, go and let the tears fall on my own.
yeah. You just got to be strong for everybody else, and sometimes people don't realize that even the strongest person needs somebody to help them, hold them up. No matter how big of a badass you are, you still got to have that. I mean, somebody's got to be there for you. And you've got your dad, your brother with your band, and you've got your family at home, and you've been able to, like I said, deal with your PTSD. You've had that training because you're going through the counseling and whatnot like that. I see my oldest has the same thing because he's got PTSD. He's dealing with that on so many levels. He didn't lose many people that he served with while he was serving. He's lost a lot after he left, and that's what he's currently dealing with. And I can see some days it hits him really hard, and other days he's good. But I always tell him, I was like, if you ever need me, I'm right here. I was like, you just tell me and you can cry, and I don't give a shit, because that's what you got to do. I don't care how tough you are or how big of a badass you think you are. You're my son, and you're never going to be too bad to come up and tell dad I love you and need a hug. So I mean,
me, Josh, my dad, we're all huggers. We all still hug. We all, and my family, living in Utah, I was raised LDS. All of us grew up LDS for the most part, and so like you have that really strong family. Reunion time. You've got family nights. You've got all this kind of stuff growing up. And, all of us have kind of separated our ways with the church and everything in our own way for our own reasons. But that it was just kind of expected that you were always going to be there with family and for family and everything like that. And so we've always been close. And my dad, he actually quit his, band back when I was born. Not quite when I was born, but shortly thereafter, because he realized, I haven't made it yet, and I got to buckle down and take care of my kid, and then find out that I got a little sister on the way to boot. So he's like, yeah, I gotta, I gotta settle down and turn in the rock star dream for a little bit and, actually take care of business. And, he's always put us first, and tried to give us as many good experiences as he could, whether it was family vacations or even just talking with one of us if we had some kind of problem or whatever, staying up till midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning, talking about whatever girl dumped you, or, if it was one of my sisters, whatever guy was causing issues, life advice stuff. When I was getting ready to join the military, heavens, I was talking to my dad about my concerns, my worries, you know, do you think I can do it? All that kind of stuff, and he was right there cheerleading me in the corner. Um, and I actually remember, when he took me out to finally say, yeah, we're going to go ahead and sign your papers, because I enlisted at 17. He took me out on this little raft that we had up on a lake that's kind of by where we live. And he's like, out of all the, knucklehead adult type decisions you've made as a teenager, this is one me and your mom actually can support. And so we'll go ahead and sign those papers. And, just always been there for us. Same with my mom. And that's kind of reflected through with all of us, in our own families, and continuing on, we still get together for holidays, or even just because, like, hey, we haven't seen each other for a while, let's go freaking grab lunch, and now with the recording, I mean, we're and everything and jamming together again, it's just about every weekend where we get to see each other now. And it's just been a really great experience. We've definitely grown closer as a family, for sure.
So I do got to ask, because with my kids, do you go to concerts with your dad still?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I actually finally got to pay him back for taking me to a couple concerts. One of his bucket list bands that he wanted to see was Guns N' Roses, and so I was actually able to take him to go and see Guns N' Roses. And so, I mean, yeah, sure, Axel isn't, 100% anymore after blowing his vocal cords and everything, but it was still a good time, and you're talking about some of the most classic stuff when it comes to that Sunset Strip, kind of glam rock level, stuff. And it was awesome. It was just a good time.
Yeah, because see, I'm the other way. I'm the one who's like, oh, we got to go to the concert. I got to go tell my kids, like, you going to this concert with me? And my kids are like, oh, I don't know, man. I'm like, I'm getting tickets. So you're either going or you're not going. And then
my dad, if he wouldn't have had to work, he would have gone with me to Dying Fetus. Like, death metal isn't really his thing, but I didn't really have anybody to go with or anything at the time. I ended up not going ultimately because my van actually decided to fall apart, and you gotta love when that kind of stuff happens. But yeah, he was willing to go, even though death metal, like I said, it's not really his thing. He prefers more of the clean vocals and whatnot when it comes to his metal, but he'll go and rock out. He'll pit with the best of them.
That's
I feel
great.
like I like all the bands your dad likes, bro. I think that's where I'm at. I think I like the music your dad likes. I get that a lot though.
Yeah. No, all three of us, we listen to the whole gambit of hard rock, up to the heaviest of metal. My dad, every once in a while, he gets in a mood and he'll plop on, some Cradle of Filth or some Dimmu Borgir or whatever. And
fucking Death Clock.
Other times,
I do love Death Clock.
Death Clock's awesome. He actually got me a Death Clock CD for Christmas one year.
Nice.
But yeah, like, and then Josh, he does the full gambit. I listen to pretty much everything. Some people look at my freaking playlists and stuff like that, and they're like, "Dude, you are so weird." Because like I don't stick with this, one or two subgenres. I mean, I've got everything on the same playlist. You're gonna hear Motley Crue, and you're gonna hear some Dying Fetus on the same friggin' list.
I've had people tell me my musical tastes are schizophrenic, and I'm like, that seems about right. Yeah.
I'm so. I feel so. I listen to one band at a time, and then someone's like, "You should check out this band." I'm like, "Yeah, okay," and then I just don't. I've been listening to Pantera for like 4 months, and then again, by the way, it's not like I just got into Pantera, okay? And then before that, it was like the Misfits for 6 months, like I said, again, it's not like I just got into Misfits. It's like I just keep rotating the same like 15, 20 bands like for the
Yeah.
last decade at least.
I keep telling him he needs to listen to the company band since I met him, and he still
That was
hasn't
months
listened.
ago. That was months ago. So yeah, Paul, I'll fucking check it out this week, bro. Yeah. All right.
Yeah, it's all good. But as I
Put
told,
on some walk
Bad
or
at it.
some freaking cemetery gates while you're
Mm, yeah, Paul. What? I did, dude. I found. So check this out. In 2017, I have to figure out what label. I don't know what label, but it was Dimebag Darrell had some um home studio recordings that he was fucking with in the time between like 2001 when Pantera stopped touring and then 2003 when they actually broke up, when they announced that they were over. And it's like a 5-song EP called The Hits, like with a Z. I'd never heard of it. I'd never heard of it. I'm a big time guy, right? And I didn't know it existed. I just did like a detailed like fucking thesis research paper on Pantera for a video that I'm in the middle of editing, and I hadn't come across it at all. And I was like talking to a friend the whole time who like lived the experience like as like a consultant for the video just to make sure like the feel was authentic. That way I wasn't getting anything out of just out of my depth. And he didn't know about it. And I was like, and it's on Spotify. It's fucking awesome. It's just this like southern metal like home studio shit with Dimebag Darrell. It's fucking so cool. Yeah, it's
I'll have to
dope.
see if I can find that.
Yeah.
I am today years old when I discovered that because I
That
didn't know it until he just said it right now.
I found
Same.
it 2 days ago. I'm thinking about putting it into the video. I'm in the editing phase, but I'm thinking about going back and recording it just into the on the timeline. That way the holdouts who like watch the whole video, because it's a pretty deep, comprehensive history, Pantera. And I tell a lot of stories in the hopes that like you don't know at least a handful of these stories. But like I feel like if I get the holdouts who like, oh, I know all this, they'll get to that part and be like, what? And then not know that part. I feel like that'll be my trump card. You know? I'll get that's where I'll win them over. I thought
Well,
that
now
was,
I'm gonna
I
have
don't
to go
know.
and
I don't
find
know
it.
what triggered
Yeah.
that. Yeah, I don't know what triggered that in me, but I thought that was crazy. I had no clue.
It's like I
Dime's
just
in my top 10 guitarists, so like,
It's
yeah,
my
I
favorite
gotta go
guitar
find
player
that
of all
now.
time. No idea. I had no
What's-
idea. I knew he had a home studio. I knew that there was recordings that he did in that home studio. Like I knew that that was something he did. I didn't know any of that was released.
see
And I guess in 2017 it came out.
the only thing I knew that they had done was they took some stuff that he had done during that time and put it on the Hell Yeah album as the guitar solo.
That was for that was for a cover Damage Plan was working on that they ended up doing with Hell Yeah. That's how they had those parts. But yeah, no, these were just like home studio recordings, so like southern metal songs that he wrote. I'm fairly certain he even does like the vocals in all of them.
Shit.
Yeah, it's awesome.
It's like my son just now discovered, was it Cacophony, which is Marty Friedman and Jason Becker's band, and he's like, "What?" I was like, "Yeah, this is a thing that exists before he was in Megadeth," and he's like, "Now he's finding that out." So see, it's kind of nice. My son's 23, and he goes with me to like almost every concert I go to now. So he's my he's my mini me without the drinking problem. Uh, so, but you know, get back to stuff. When you guys got your sound, you got your music, you've got your dad who brings in your classic rock, your stuff. You bringing in the mid range, your brother kind of bringing in some of the guttural or the death metal stuff. Do you ever bring stuff to your dad and be like, "This is what I like this one"? Your dad's like, "Nah, man, that's too hard,
Too heavy.
too heavy,
Yeah.
too heavy."
No, he's actually, so we're actually considering doing an entire cover album, like all covers. of different stuff. And so we're coming from all over the spectrum. I mean, we're talking about maybe doing some Rush, some Motorhead, some Metallica, Pantera. So and the idea is, we're going to pay tribute to some of the influences that we've all had, and then put it into a 3 Bravo style. It's probably going to be a while yet, because we still got to wrap up, obviously Divine Wreckage. And then next on the chopping block is where we've got an EP that we're going to be doing, where we're going to, so my ex-wife, Connor's mom, has been writing some lyrics. And so we're going to take a look at those and see if we can't put some music to them. I've already written a couple of songs for it. And my dad's got some more guitar licks that he wants to do. And we're actually going to do an entire EP that's dedicated to my son. And then we also have another one slotted that's going to be kind of like a dystopian kind of thriller album, where it's like, you take some of the great works, in 1984, Fahrenheit 451, stuff like that. And then some from the film side, so like Equilibrium. Yeah, we do have one about Terminator. So yeah, we got some of that in there. And one of the things that I've been trying to do since I've been the primary on lyrics for this, I've already written almost, I want to say 9 songs on this. I've been trying to look at it from a different perspective. So like, you see the movies or you read the books, and it gives you the perspective of whoever the antagonist is, or the protagonist. And what I'm trying to do is give you different perspectives. So like, just as an example, I'm doing one, you got to get, relevant with the younger crowd. So did a Hunger Games one. But it's not the perspective of like the tributes or like President Snow or like any of that kind of stuff, or the Capitol people. It's actually from the perspective of the parents of the kids that have to go and do the fighting in the arena. And then like, instead of with the Terminator one, instead of it being like John Connor or, Arnold's character, the T-1000 or T-100 or whatever, it's, more so just your normal everyday person that's on the ground having to experience this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
All the movies people know. So we want to, and all the books people have read, so we wanted to do it more from a perspective of either a different time period, like maybe before, or maybe it's after, the book or whatever happens. And then we're going to bring it all together. And the final song is going to be more of like a warning, like, you guys all root for, the people that are getting stepped on by all these oppressive, things and whatnot. But look around you today and see what's going on, and you can see the parallels. And so it's just going to be kind of a cool little concept album that we're doing. And then eventually we'll get to the cover album.
Man, you got a lot on your plate, man. You got your schedule is full.
Yeah.
The fact that we were talking about touring earlier, you don't even have time to tour.
Yeah, no. No, he's retired.
Oh man, there's some days though it's totally crazy. Like when I wrote the lyrics for 84 Rising, my dad just sent me this little guitar track that he recorded in like a guitar shop, just trying out some guitar, and he had like this download of a riff. So he sends it to me on my phone, and I'm like, oh, I got something for that. And within 15 minutes, I sent him lyrics back for 84 Rising. Like it just connected on such a level that it was just like, oh man, I could do this. And so ended up sending him some stuff back within minutes. And so I mean, our writing process we can do on the fly. And even with today's technology, I mean, aside from like setting up an actual drum kit and doing the recording, I mean, you can do albums even on the road,
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, it's funny.
I mean, literally we use my basement. So
oh yeah.
Dude, my whole rig is right here. And it's like what do you want? The Marshall 900, Marshall 800. I'm playing the 5150 mostly. You know,
There's our setup right there. So
it's metal.
you
That's
know,
awesome.
we've got everything mic'd and ready to rock and roll. It's just always there. So
That's badass. You got to be ready, and when the inspiration hits, you got to be ready. So,
oh man, I wish that I could show you guys just how many files we've got with riffs and stuff that you know just are sitting out in the universe right now. My dad, he sent me these probably 3-4 weeks ago, just to show what all he had, so that I could start writing some more lyrics and whatnot. Because I get bored. You know, there's only so many times that you can post on Facebook or whatever to go check out a song before people start unfollowing you. You know what I mean?
yep.
So you know, I get into the lab and start writing lyrics with some of these riffs and stuff, and you know, assign the riff to the lyrics that I write and whatnot, so we can expand on it. And I mean, there's probably close to 1,000 songs worth of stuff on there. I mean, he's got 50 years of experience doing this almost. So
You say he's been putting out music since before you were born. I mean, there's got to be stuff that he's like, man, I wrote this in '83.
Well, and that's literally what happened with 2000 Suns. I mean, he's been sitting on that. I think it was actually 83 when he first was trying to get people to do that. And you know, his band, other than the drummer,
yeah,
he continues to play the stuff. He
That's
never
awesome.
stops.
I have like
Never
I have
stops.
friends who straight up, and myself, I've like laid down recordings, and if I wanted to pick up my guitar and play it right now, I'd need some time to relearn the song that I wrote because of how long ago it was that I wrote it. Yeah, that's awesome.
He's got this really crazy brain. I mean, I'll brag about my dad all dang day with the way his brain works. And I mean, every once in a while he'll have to refresh. But the other thing that he's got a really good advantage of, he plays by ear. The dude literally.
Oh God, my biggest regret is not teaching myself that way.
Yeah, he'll sit there, and I mean, my wife, she's seen it. Everybody's seen him do this, where he'll have like his acoustic just sitting on the couch watching TV or something. Some jingle or whatever on a commercial comes on, and he just starts strumming along with it, and then he starts playing whatever lick. And it's like, dude, I hate your face.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But you know, at the same time, you know, you love the guy because he can just do that. I remember one time my wife. What was the song? I can't remember what song, but she like asks my dad, you know, hey, can you play this song? And he's like, I never really tried before. So he puts it on the radio to refresh his memory. 2 seconds later, he's jamming the whole thing to include the lead. Like it's just nuts.
That was crazy.
That's crazy. That is awesome. Well, you know, Hawk's got to get ready to head out. But Craig, we've definitely got to get your brothers and your dad on here, because your dad just sounds amazing, and
you get the three of us together, and you're going to get some inside jokes.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. After the holidays and stuff, and things start settling down, we'll try to get all three of you on here.
Most definitely. I will tell you, weekends are usually the best for us, especially since they work. And Josh also just started getting some more school going and stuff, getting some more machinist certificates or whatever he's got going on. But yeah, especially Saturdays. If you guys ever have a Saturday open, holy cow, we are wide open on Saturdays.
Yeah,
Sunday's my dead day. I only go to the gym in the morning, and then pretty much after that, I'm pretty much good after that on Sundays.
Sundays might be good too, depending on how long we decide to BS around.
Yeah, because they tend to run about an hour, but man, on my other channel,
they would go longer if we didn't do them at 8 p.m. That's what, because I gotta work in the morning. If I didn't have to work in the morning, I'd be.
See, that's my problem. I get off at 7, and by the time I get ready, it's 8. So that's how we got.
Yeah.
But you're out. What, you're 3 hours behind? So what is it? It's 9:21. So what is it? 621 there now?
No, 3 hours would be
721
the
where I'm
West
at.
Coast. Yeah. It's
I'm mountain, so
yeah,
721.
Okay.
2 hours.
All right, so I can figure that next time because I was like, man, are they too? I have to think about do the math, do the time zone math in my head.
Mountain is the weird one that like you never hear anybody talk about. It's
Yeah.
always like it's Pacific or Central. No one ever goes Mountain Time. When do you ever hear the TV announcer announce the Mountain Time broadcast? Yeah.
Yeah. It's
No.
always 8 p.m. Central, East
Yeah.
Coast, West Coast.
Mhm.
But no, sir, it has been a blast talking to you. I can't wait to have you back on, like I said, with your brothers and get more stories. And yet again, you are super impressive, man, that you've
Yeah.
been able to take negatives in your
probably-
life, turn them into
I
positives.
barely said anything this whole show, but I think it's probably my favorite one so far.
Yeah, it's
Right on.
yeah. So, but can we use one of your songs as an outro?
Sure.
Okay. And where can people find you real quick?
Yeah, so we made it really easy for everybody. If you go onto any social media account and look up 3 Bravo Band, it'll pull us up. So that's your Instagram, your Facebook, your Twitter, all that kind of. I don't care that it's changed to X. It's always going to be Twitter.
Yeah, we're too old to stop calling it Twitter.
Yep.
And then, you can find us on pretty much every streaming platform. Website's really easy because, again, we just went with 3bravoband.com. So we're real easy to find everywhere. We kept it pretty uniform so that nobody ends up having to be like, well, over here it's 3 Bravo, and over here it's 3 Bravo Band, and over here it's, they spelled out the word 3.
I made a
HawKNLoaD
HawKNloaD OnlyFans just to make sure I had all of the @handles on every major platform. There's nothing on it, but I own it. It's mine.
So, can people buy merch and your material?
Absolutely. I mean, we've got your classic T-shirts, we've got hoodies, beanies. Definitely recommend beanies since it's starting to get chilly, unless you're in like Florida. Evidently, they're lucky and they have good weather.
No, it sucks. I spent the whole first half of my life there. It's fucking shit. It's always humid.
I'll take your word for it.
All year round. It sucks. Don't go there. It's awful. Like, people need to stop talking about how great Florida is because they're not. I'm in Pennsylvania now. It's way better.
All right.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's all on our website. We've got merch. You can get our CD. We also are working on a vinyl that you guys can get as well. So it's a pre-order kind of deal. We got to get 100 of them before we can actually send in the order. So the faster people can buy those up, the faster that people can get them. So if you like it old school and you've got yourself a nice little turntable, grab up one of the vinyl. And we are a lot more reasonably priced than most other bands, mainly because we're not famous, but also because we don't want to screw you over.
Oh yeah, I would be definitely down for a rec vinyl because I can just throw in my vinyl collection over here. So,
Sweet.
Dude, it's been a blast talking to you. Like I said, can't wait to get you back on. Like I said, next time we'll go ahead and I'll start figuring up dates coming up, and we'll figure up some Sunday after kind of like maybe before Christmas or after Christmas, but we'll figure it all out and get you back.
I would bet you'd probably want to go after Christmas just because our family is humongous. I am the oldest of 5 kids, and all of us pretty much have kids except for Josh and Mikkel. But with each of us, the average is like 3 kids. So lots of family.
I understand that. Got 4 boys myself, so
I have dogs. It's basically the same thing.
I have 4 boys and 4 animals, 5 animals. So
we won't get into how many animals I have. I got chickens, ducks, turkeys, goats, dogs, cats.
I liked it when I worked on the farm with goats, man. The goats were some of the better animals to deal with. So I hated chickens. I will hate chickens till the day I die. So, but sir, we're gonna let you go. You have a good night and take care, and we will talk to you again. This will probably drop not Thursday because that's Thanksgiving, so it'll probably drop Friday afternoon.
Sounds good.
All right. Well, you take care, and we will talk again soon. Later.
Yep. Take care, guys.
Bye.
There goes.
Madness grips their stunted world.